Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for Bates Motel Season 2, Episode 4, Checkout. And oh my god, this episode was amazing. It really is everything we've wanted from the past few episodes. That's what this episode was. And what an amazing episode. Just so good. So much better than the last episode, and definitely the best episode of the season so far. I'm wondering, it left me definitely wondering about a few things, but also, this whole, storyline with Norma, where that's gonna go. Especially one very weird scene towards the end. The ending was definitely very interesting, and I definitely want to talk about the ending. But let's just get to this episode, because I was really into it. Now, the one thing that I will say about this episode that I did like, that I, have been complaining about, is Emma has not had a lot to do this season. She's had this guy, she was talking to Norman and Norma in some scenes, like episodes 1 and 2. Pretty much MIA for those two episodes, not really much to do with her in those two. Episode 3, last week she came in, she wanted to throw this thing for Bradley. That was her storyline in that episode. This episode really got her storyline moving, and I really enjoyed seeing that a lot, that she had a lot to do. We start off seeing that, remember that guy that she was talking to at a party? She actually slept with him. And we don't know if they had sex, all we know is that she slept with him. And we see her, she's waking up and running out of the motel room with her oxygen tank, and she has a coughing fit, and, this mother and son find her there, just in very bad shape. She then finds Dylan passed out in his truck with vomit running down the side of his door. Vomit running down the side of his door. He's still unconscious, and Emma runs and wakes up Norman, and he helps her carry him into a bed. And Emma asks Norman a ton of questions, but Norman just snaps at her and says he doesn't know. Norma enters the motel room and kicks Emma and Norman out. Dylan is still passed out in the bed. She covers him up with a blanket and stares him at a moment, and then heads back outside. So, right away, very intense, and I really enjoyed that about this episode. It was very intense right away, because it's been like that so far, and I've been enjoying that. Luckily, though, this episode stayed as intense as it was in the beginning. So, Emma and Norman are waiting outside, and Emma offers to stay and watch Dylan. She wants to, help out Dylan, because she doesn't know when he's waking up, and she just wants to help him out. Norma heads to her car, and Norman wants to come with her, and she says there's one thing that she can do, and she instructs him to stay with his brother. Basically, she's very upset. We don't know why she's so upset with him. I'm thinking it's probably because, he kind of started this whole Dylan being mad at her thing. If he wouldn't have attacked Dylan like he did in the last episode, possibly Dylan might not know all this shit that she didn't want him to know. That whole thing. So, Dylan then eventually wakes up in the motel room, and Norman brings up breakfast and clean clothes, and Dylan asks him how long he has known about all this. Norman assures him he didn't know until last night, and Dylan isn't buying it. As we know, Norma told him individually. But Dylan, of course, isn't buying it. He says total bullshit that he's saying that. And he says this explains why he has always been outside the family. Because, Dylan always felt detached from the family, and he feels even more detached now because Norman never told him the secret, and he feels even more detached now. And it really is sad if you think about it, but, you gotta feel bad for him, but at the same time, that's what happens. So yeah. So then what happens is, Dylan doesn't want to, Norman insists that who Dylan's father is doesn't change anything, and Dylan doesn't want to hear it, and he kicks Norman out of the room. And there are a lot of very intense scenes in this episode. One of the things I love about this episode was a lot of very intense scenes between Dylan and Norma, and Dylan and Norman. Very great. That's one of the best things this episode definitely did, was have those really intense scenes between those two characters. So Norman storms into the office, and Emma demands he tells her what had happened. And of course, Norman's not going to tell her that Norma was raped by Caleb. He's not going to tell her all of that. But he says he can't talk about it because it's a family matter thing, and he doesn't want to tell her. So then Dylan heads to the dock and runs into Caleb, and he reveals that he knows that Caleb raped his mom, You know, he knows that Caleb raped his mom, but Caleb insists it wasn't like that. And, this kind of got me thinking, is Norma stretching the truth a little bit? Is she just trying to play the victim card? Is that what she's doing here? I don't think that's what's happening, but every time Dylan brings it up, Caleb denies it. And it seems like Caleb genuinely cares about Dylan, so... You know, all we know is that Caleb hands Dylan an envelope, and Dylan storms off pretty upset at Norma. So then Christine calls Norma and invites her to dinner at the restaurant at the Green Tavern. And again, she wants Norma to... At first, Norma declines, you know, says she isn't feeling well and will go out another time. And Norma heads to her room and lays down, and Norman follows her, tries to comfort her. Really nice scene between the two of them. He wants to know why she didn't tell him the truth about Caleb, and he reassures her that she can tell him anything, and lays down bed with her. Norma cries to him that she went to his motel and tell him to leave him and call him out for what he did to her, but she couldn't do it. She wasn't strong enough. Norman comforts her and tells her not to worry, and promises to take very good care of her. He's going to take good care of her, and she shouldn't worry about that. So I really like that scene. But then Norma is cleaning her kitchen, and then Christine arrives at her door and says, I'm not taking no for an answer. You are going. You need to get back out there. And again, she just wants Norm to be more popular. And I enjoy where this storyline is going. As boring as it is, I like where it's going. Because it kind of gives Norma a little bit of a distraction from all this. And I do kind of like that she's getting kind of a distraction. So then what happens? Oh, yeah. Norman then comforts her, tells her not to worry, and I just read that. Emma catches Norman in the office, looking at other motels, and he says that he is just checking out the competition, because as we know, the motel is in risk of being lost by the bypass, and Cody barges into the office furious. This episode also got us to see a little more Cody, care a little bit more about Cody, and I kind of like Cody more in this episode than I did in the last one. Do I love her character now? No, I don't. I can tolerate her character now, though. I like her character now. Cody barges into the office furious and wants to know why Norman was a no-show. She leaves her number so next time he can call her and tell her he is busy, and after she leaves, Emma warns him that Norma is not going to like it. So later that night, Norma is getting dressed for her date, and Norman helps her get ready and encourages her to go out. Dylan arrives at home, still upset, and Norma tells him he needs to move on and put this behind him. And Norma tells him the only reason Caleb came to town was to get money from him. And Dylan reveals that Caleb, and again, this is one of those really intense scenes I really liked in the episode. Dylan reveals that Caleb gave him back all the money he needed. Norma's pretty shocked about this. Her date arrives, and she puts on a fake smile and heads out to dinner with George. So then Cody drives Norman to the King's Motel where Caleb is staying and gives him a tire iron. And he tells... Oh, wait, I forgot that Norman goes to work on the set with Cody. Clearly stressed, confesses to Cody that Caleb's in town and he isn't a good guy. He's abusive and he won't leave, and he's worried about Norma. And Cody encourages him to beat the guy and scare the crap out of him, and tells him he will leave his mom alone afterward. And I really like Cody's advice. You know, she wants Norman to really do some bad, mess this guy up, basically. Just do some bad shit to him, and I enjoyed seeing that, definitely. So Norman goes, then Cody drives Norman to the King's Motel, and she gives him a tire iron and says that is his superpower, and Cody walks to Caleb's door. Norman suddenly freaks out and says he can't do this and tells her they have to leave, and Cody agrees. So then Cody drives Norman home. George drives Norman home from their date, and she sits down in the kitchen and proceeds to get drunk. Dylan comes through with boxes, and here's the really, really intense scene we get from Dylan and Norma, the beginning of a very intense scene that comes up after this. And Dylan informs her that she made this mess, and Caleb denied raping her and getting her pregnant. And Norma explains this just because she never told him or anything or anyone that she was pregnant with his baby. And that's, you know, at first I thought that Norma was stretching the truth, but here we see that Norma is telling him that she never confessed to Caleb that was his, and that's why he's not saying anything, because he doesn't know the truth. She never told anyone. And so now that makes sense, okay? That's fine. So then Cody drives Norman home. He's still acting pretty shaky. He walks in the house and Norma and Dylan are fighting. And then it gets really bad between Dylan and Norma here. Because Dylan accuses Norma of using him. And he says that he made her boyfriend think that he got her pregnant. You know, this is the truth. That Norma convinced her boyfriend that he was pregnant. So that way he would marry her and could move out of her parents' house. And he thinks she should have just gotten an abortion and not brought him into the world. Dylan is just really upset at this point, and definitely just things are not good between Dylan and Norma. We're back to how they were in the beginning of the season, when Dylan, you know, didn't want anything to do with Norma, and that's basically where we are now. So Dylan storms out of the house, Norma chases after him crying, Norman hides in the shadows and watches their altercation. And here we get the most shocking scene of the episode. This scene just had my jaw drop. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, seriously, this scene was so intense. I didn't know what to think of this scene, but it really just, it came out of nowhere. But it was a very good, intense scene. I really did enjoy it. So Caleb is getting ready to check out, and finally he has his confrontation with Norman. And Norman is pissed at him. And Caleb tells him to get out right away, but Norman begins talking, accusing, and the weird thing is when Norman starts talking, though, he's talking like Norma would talk. It's really strange. He all of a sudden gets this other personality that's like if Norma were to talk, and he basically says, he's accusing Caleb of raping him, and then says, I was your little sister, you could have protected me. Pulls out a knife and tries to stab Caleb. Caleb throws him on the ground and walks out of the room. You know, finally someone actually took down Norman that's stronger than him. You know, definitely we saw that. The weird thing is, what is going on with Norman? And I found out that basically, in Psycho, this is how he acts. He has like a split personality thing, where his personality is that of Norma's. You know, definitely, he has this other personality, he has this other thing going on with him. He's also Norman, but he's also has this woman personality, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see if that keeps happening, definitely. So then Cody arrives at the store, and this is the very end of the episode. The woman says she had to call her because her number was written on her arm. And Norman is sitting in a trance. He's not saying anything. He's not blinking an eye. He's not talking. He's just in a trance. He's like this. He's literally like this. Like, imagine if I went on a whole review and just went, that's literally Norman right now. So that was kind of creepy. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry if I scared you. I didn't mean to scare you. That was kind of creepy, but that was not what I was trying to do. So Cody then takes him to her car and tells him everything will be okay, and that is how the episode ended. So, what is going on with Norman? As I said, he has like this split personality thing where he kind of, it seems like Norma's kind of taking over him, or that part of Norma's inside him. I don't know what's going on there. We did get a little subplot though with Sheriff Romero. This kind of came out of nowhere. We saw Sheriff Romero. He showed up at the docks and he tells Zane that it's time that he introduced himself. He revealed to Zane that a lot has changed since he left town, and he threatens him, and Zane laughs off and offers him a beer, and Romero leaves. The very end, though, we see this very intense thing going on where there's a fire, police department are here, ambulance is here, and Sheriff Romero goes in, and there's some house on fire, so there's some sort of house on fire, so we don't know what that's about, but I don't know, what's up with the fire? I don't know. That was definitely the one part of the episode I was shaking my head. The second part was like, what? At first I thought the Bates Motel was on fire, but it wasn't the Bates Motel. It's just, something's on fire. I don't know what that was about. But this episode was so amazing. Definitely the best episode of the season. So many intense scenes in this episode. So much is going on now in this show. And I cannot wait to see what's going to happen next. I mean, one of the big things definitely is what is going on with Norman. Where is this personality coming from? It looks like next week Cody is actually going to be the one to put him out of his misery. So that's going to be interesting to see. Also, it looks like, you know, there's a lot of shit that's going to be going down with Norma and Caleb. Definitely a lot of, you know, a lot of tension in this episode between Dylan and Norma. Where's Dylan gonna go? What's gonna happen with Dylan? You know, is he gonna trust Caleb? What's gonna happen there? Is Caleb gonna find out that Norma had Dylan, that Dylan's his son? You know, is he gonna find out about that? I'm interested in seeing if that's gonna happen. Also, we did get a little something with Emma. It looks like Emma said to this guy, we found out that Emma did not have sex with that guy. Emma didn't have sex with him because she wants her first time to be memorable. However, she did say that she will eventually have sex with him. So, where's that going to go? Is Emma... also, Norma and George, do you like them together? I don't know. I don't really care about them. Do you like Cody now? I think... I felt like I could appreciate Cody more in this episode. She felt like... I feel like she genuinely cares about Norman, and you saw that more in this episode. And what was up with that fire? What was up with the fire as well? What's gonna happen there? That's it for my review, though. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's very sad, very, just very sad, tender episode of Glee tonight, which, of course, is the end of the New Direction. So I will see you guys for that review. Okay, bye.